Alright, so, just finished up eating my last rice cake. But anyway, excuse me. Just finished eating up my rice cakes. Kind of was in a rush, so that's why I didn't start the recording sooner. And also I want to like be sitting here like eating and drinking my shake thing and trying to talk all at the same time, because to me this just, I don't know, probably doesn't sound that appealing. So yeah, but anyway, we'll see how fast we talk about this. And if I don't finish, talking about whatever by the time we get to the gym, then just continue it after. So anyway, so I haven't heard, I would say I haven't heard this like explicitly or specifically talked about. I've more so just heard about just the mental side of, just a lot of things really, but I guess lifting in itself and just the gym, and more so like the mental side of bodybuilding. I would say you hear a decent amount about that, but how often do you hear about the mental side of progressive overload? Not me personally, not too often. Now, what is progressive overload? Well, progressive overload is you essentially you're progressively overloading something. Most likely, at least in terms of the gym, when it comes to progressive overload, it means you're going heavier than your last set, or in some way you're somehow you're like overloading your body compared to the previous set. So in most cases it's talking about weight. I don't think progressive overload has ever really referred to anything other than the weight aspect of things. So yeah, so all right, we kind of talked about what progressive overload is. Okay, what are we doing? But I haven't really talked about the mental side of it. So sometimes, sometimes you might be thinking about it beforehand. You see how much, I'm going to use gym terms simply because, it's what this channel is about, mainly. So, sometimes it's like you see the weight on your on the bar or the machine or whatever, and you're already thinking about it. Other times it can, the mental side of it doesn't really. Are you mentally impaired? That was a good catch. That was a good catch on that one. Now sometimes, you aren't really in your head about it till you actually get under the weight, or you actually feel the weight in whatever way you go about feeling the weight. So whether that's you getting under the weight, or you pick it up and realize how heavy it is, or whatever. Now sometimes the mental side of it doesn't really hit you until you feel the weight. It's like, so first I'll talk about the first kind of scenario, I guess, I mentioned, which is where, before you even touch the weight, you're just, like when let's say you're like PRing for a squat and you see how much weight you've got on the bar and you're like, damn, that's a lot of weight. And then you start getting in your head and you're like, I'm not sure I can do this, blah, 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 stuff like that. And, that's the kind of stuff where it's like, just gotta somehow figure out how to get through it. And sometimes you just have to be completely delusional and gaslight yourself into believing that it's light, and even though, like, in the terms of a PR, even though you've never hit it before, that you're gonna hit it and it's light, and you gotta do what you gotta do, right? So yeah, so there's that aspect where it's just like you see the weight and you're just in your head like, man, that looks really heavy, I'm not sure I can do this, stuff like that, as far as getting in your head about it. And then you have this scenario too where it's like, you don't really, I guess, realize the how can I word this, the gravity of, I want to say the gravity of the situation, but it's not really like, I don't know. I guess what I'm thinking about is like more so just the shock of like, oh wow, this is heavier than I thought it was gonna be. It's like if one, let's say, like for instance, so yesterday for my push day, when I was on that like wide grip, whatever it's called, machine chest press, dumbass, sorry. Oh yeah, when I was on that wide grip chest press, why are we stopping all the way back here? There's no reason to do that. And I I threw on 2 plates and a 10. I've never touched that on, I want to say, any machine really, but perfect. But yeah, for me, I had never done that before, so, and it didn't really hit me, because I knew I could do it. It was just more so like, after, you know, getting it off the yoga blocks, I was like, wow, this is actually kind of heavier than I thought it was going to be. So then I was like, so sometimes what can happen there is that you then realize how heavy it is, and then you start getting your head with like thoughts of like, you know, like, wait, let's set this back down. Let's change this out for something lighter. So it's, and I did have a split second of that. I was like, you know, how am I about to do like 15, well, I think the minimum reps was like 12, but I wanted to go for, or well, the most, I was to get was like 15, so really my goal was 15 every time. So I was thinking to myself, I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm even hitting like 12 or 10 with this. But hey, I mean, I ended up shocking myself. I was like, wow, at the end. But you know, the way, at least for me, what I did there was, in that scenario, because I had done, I want to say like a filler rep or two, or maybe I did a whole set, I don't remember, of just 2 plates. I was like, yeah, this is too light. So then I made the decision of, oh, you know, let's go heavier then. So basically, because I made the decision to go heavier, basically what the way I guess got through it was like, okay, I put myself here, I made the decision to go heavier, so, you know, let's make it happen. You know, can't back down now. You wanted to go heavier, so let's go heavier. And basically I just kind of kept repeating that to myself, and you know, got through the set. I ended up doing, I want to say it was like 13, so that's better than I thought I was going to do, I can tell you that. Whoops. I forgot if I shook this up already. So yeah, sometimes progressive overload can be scary or daunting, but you know, you just gotta work through it. So it's like, you know, sometimes that's not exactly what people are wanting to hear. They're wanting to hear some other, you know, different, I guess, facts for the, I don't want to say issue because it's not an issue, but you know, they want to fix for, I guess, or like a better answer about, you know, how to make how to make thinking about it easier or something. And it's like, the more you think about it, basically the heavier it gets. So it's like, don't think, just, really, it's like at first you want to keep the reps solid and, clean. But it's like, once you're not really hitting that clean threshold anymore, that's when you just go crazy with it. And, even end your set with partials or whatever. But anyway, yeah, so when it comes to progressive overload, really you just gotta be delusional about it, and gaslight yourself into believing, that you can do it and that it's light. And you don't always have to, use manipulation tactics on yourself, but you can, you can also just, just talk yourself through it, basically, come on, man, you can do this, you gotta get through it, kind of thing. So anyway, but yeah, not really much to the mental side of progressive overload, but and I would say what's probably even harder to push through, and to motivate yourself to get through, is when you're already thinking about how heavy the weight is beforehand, and then you actually feel it, and then it's like, wow, this, that's when you start wondering, am I even gonna get, and that's more so with PRs and stuff, and it's like, you're like, wow, am I even gonna get halfway with this? But yeah, you just gotta, basically you just have to surpass your mental limit. But yeah, excuse me again. Anyway, I don't even think I said this earlier, but today's pull day, so let's go ahead and get in there. I'm gonna warm up, and then after that I'll set up the tripod. But again, whether or not I do close grip pull downs just simply depends on how the neutral grip feels. So, and my back is perfectly fine now, so I haven't felt any sort of twinge or anything since I don't even remember when. But yeah, so I fully intend to take it, not crazy, I fully intend to make it crazy, but in a controlled manner, if that makes sense. So anyway, I'll see you in there for the starting off on the neutral grip pull downs. That was weird. Throwing this one for fun. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I think this side is better for the teardrop. I'm thinking, my brain had an error. Let's see if we can pull this off right. Well, that's all I could really think of, but that was fun. Anyway. Did I hit the crucifix? Yeah, I did. Oh, I know I didn't hit. Great lift. Everything felt great. I don't know if like the video was, if you were able to see it in the video at all. Actually, first I'll say these two things before I forget, because I'm gonna forget. So there were two things that I missed recording. One was, one was the first set, or not the first set. It was one of the sets that that I did with neutral grip pull downs. And then the other thing that I missed recording was the first set of incline dumbbell. Yeah, that was my bad. So, but there are a couple things in there where it's like in other videos it might seem like I do less sets than in other videos. So like basically the reason that that might occur sometimes is if I do like a first set and I hit like the maximum reps in my like rep range that for that specific exercise. If I hit the maximum amount of reps and it was like, I mean, sure, it might be like a challenging, you know, it might be a tad bit difficult, but to me, if I'm like hitting, basically if I'm not failing within like the last 3 reps, or I'm not like, you know, doing partials for the last 3 reps, then I need to go heavier. Now it also depends on the movement. That's another thing. That's kind of where you figure out like what different movements require. And sometimes there are just some things where it's like, you know, you just don't really do partials on that. But anyway, anyway, overall, but yeah, overall great lift, everything felt great. I want to say, yeah, after the, what you call them, pullovers, I had the most, that was probably the best lat pump I've had in either a while or ever. So that was cool. But yeah, it was kind of interesting though. After the closed grip, or well, mag grip rows, after the mag grip rows, I don't know, it just kind of, I don't know, how was it? I kind of lost the lat pump a little bit. I could tell. Like, it did add on to it somewhat, but it was like after I was walking around after that last set, I was like, okay, yeah, this is starting to dissipate now. But anyway, but yeah, anyway, amazing lift. So I'm probably gonna do some posing practice, really, because I need to. I haven't done it in 2 weeks, I want to say now. So I really need to practice a couple things, but this is also in case I end up for whatever reason not missing another like legitimate posing practice day on Sunday. So, which has been the case in the last 2 weeks. So that's, again, you know, that's why there hasn't been a posing practice video in a while, because, you know, whatever ended up happening. So anyway, yeah, so, but what I'll see next tour is in the car. So anyway, yeah, let's well, let me get to some quick practicing just to kind of refresh my memory. Oh, and I figured, I don't know if I mentioned it before, of how I had like two different, I wouldn't say two different routines, but just two different, only difference between them was the starting pose. But basically I figured out which routine, or yeah, which like version I'm gonna go with. So that's, yeah, we're set. Basically, we're set on what we're doing now. So, but yeah, really only, as far as like poses that I really need to work on, it's really just all the quarter turns and like, you know, the front stuff, the quarter turns, and well, I guess those are all quarter turns. So basically the quarter turns. And then also just holding the poses as well, because I find that during some of them I have a hard time watching myself. I'm like, yeah, I'm having a hard time holding this and like looking good, but while holding it. So, you know, especially during, like for instance, like when I do my side chest, I have a pretty like hard time holding my stomach, my abs, and because really I'm trying to like stay kind of here to show off that, even though, you know, not to have like, because from what I've learned, you know, you don't want to be like here, you don't want to have gaps. So it's like, you know, you got to be careful of how far back you bring this, because it's like you want to somewhat show off this, you know, but not like, you know, where this, you know, bringing this too far or whatever creates a gap somehow. But anyway, but yeah, that's like just stuff like that. And also like, I would say I actually have an easier time, well, this probably goes for anyone, but I have an easier time holding, like when I do a most muscular and I have all the air in my abs and my stomach, well, my diaphragm basically, I have an easier time holding that than like holding a vacuum. So that's one of the reasons to practice, you know, holding the vacuum. I'd say holding a vacuum is gonna benefit me with like just holding ab poses and whatever, you know, like those are. So, but anyway, I'm gonna do some practice and then get out of here, but I will see you next after I'm all done and back in the vehicle. All right, after spending an extra hour or so practicing my stuff, I actually came up with a new version of my posing routine. So, so I personally like it better than this other version that I came up with not too long ago. I personally like this new version better, but we'll see. I'm gonna ask a friend of mine who, on his opinion. I press this on accident. I'm gonna ask a friend of mine what his opinion is, and what his opinion is on a new posing routine. It definitely needs work though. I mean, when does a posing routine not need work? So anyway. Alright. Oh. Okay, there we go. So So yeah, we'll see what he has to say. I mean, really, all I'm gonna ask him is, like, should I stay with the first version I came up with? Should I do this new version instead? Because this new version adds a little bit more. I'm able to be more elegant and have a little more flair with it. And to me, you know, that's the kind of bodybuilding that to me, that's bodybuilding. You know, to some people, bodybuilding is just, you know, hitting poses. But me personally, I like adding, you know, I like that elegant stuff. I like, you know, the flair and, you know, I mean, really the, like, ballet type stuff. I mean, after all, you know, well, for those that don't know, Arnold took ballet lessons. Arnold took ballet to help with, like, adding fluidity into his posing. Why are we all braking on an open road? I would really love to know the answer to that. All of you have not enough chromosomes. It's like the speed limit different here, or am I just the only normal person out right now? Losing all, slipping from. Sorry, that was a complete. I don't even know what that was. There we go. Alright. It's like they make lights so you can see, and then it's like the street lights blind you. It's like, bro. Really? Whee! That was also another, like, random tick or something. I don't even know what that was. Alright, anyway, kind of taking the long way to where I'm going. I missed my turn. I missed my turn because I thought I was in a different area, and then I remembered, oh wait, I didn't go the normal way. So yeah. Because the normal way, I turn into this one store, and then I kind of, like, drive through the parking lot to get to where I'm going. But I made an oopsie and forgot I took this, like, other way. Alright, here we go. Oh, fuck. Sorry. Alright, we're chilling. What was I talking about? Oh. But yeah, so Arnold took ballet lessons, at least in, I mean, the reason that I believe he took them was to add fluidity and, like, elegance into his posing. So that way he wasn't, you know, so, like, rigid and stiff with his posing. Is there curbside or no? Oh, is this curbside? Please tell me this is curbside. Oh yeah, buddy. Oh no. I was like, perfect parking too, and then I, like, completely jinxed myself on that one. These, like, I always call them crooked parking places. Anyway, these slanted parking places are always difficult to get right on the first try. Anyway, alright, that was a complete, I don't even know what that was. I don't know why I took that off either. So to me, that's what bodybuilding is that it's, you know, not just going up there, I say up there, but up on a stage with some extremely bright lights and hitting a couple poses, and that's it. To me, you know, oh, that's my music. I was like, what is that? To me, it's about being elegant and fluid with the poses and having good transitions, not just being like, you know, boom, front double by, and then, you know, going into whatever's next. You know, there's got to be a nice fluid transition there, which is why I changed from the song I was going to do at first, because at first it was kind of like, it would have been like fun to pose down to, but then I heard this song, I'm like, this would be way better. And my camera's gonna die soon. Yay. I was like, this would be way better to pose down to. And then that's kind of where I was like, okay, you know, to me, this is what bodybuilding is. You know, this song has, you know, elegance to it. I can be like fluid with it. I can have good, you know, I can be elegant, fluid, and have like good transitions. So yeah, so yeah, this anyway, all that to say, I'm definitely excited to eventually be up on stage and put all my hard work into practice. So oh crap, that's screwed. But anyway, I already said this, but yeah, great lift. Everything felt everything felt great. I don't know why I just did that. Anyway, my camera's about to die, I need to lock in. So, anyway, everything felt amazing. I'm personally satisfied with this new version of my posing routine. So, we'll see what the opinion of my friend is on whether I should stay with this other one that, this original one I came up with, or if I should do this one instead. But I do really like this one because it has more flair. Well, I can be more elegant and fluid with my posing, and yeah, I think it's better, but I'm not really the expert. I'm not really an expert. So anyway, but yeah, far from being complete, I should say. Or done, as far as like work goes. By work I mean like on my posing. So Anyway, anyway, yeah, other than that, that's really all I got. So as far as tomorrow goes, tomorrow is the hamstring and glute biceps leg day. So yeah, I definitely should be feeling great for that. So yeah, other than that, I will see you tomorrow for some glutes and hamstrings with a little bit of quads thrown in there.